What's up, guys? I'm Uncle Freedom, coming to you on another glorious and well-deserved day off. I'm really liking my new camera, trying to get used to it. So I apologize if stuff's a little wonky the first few of these videos. But today we're going to talk about something I mentioned in a previous video, and that is the mindset triad. I, for the life of me, do not remember where I actually learned this in a class. It was quite a while ago, but it was so good that it stuck with me forever. And basically what we look at in that mindset triad is three pieces, because again, it's a triad. One being awareness, two being preparedness, three being willingness. Those three things right there dictate your response, how you're going to react, and whether or not you win most fights. And kind of how we look at this. So we break it down. Awareness is the first part, and it is absolutely the place that we suck the most as Americans. We really do. And a lot of that is because we overall live in a very, very safe country. Somebody is immediately, it's not safe. Go to a third world country, come back and tell me America's not safe, right? America is a very safe country. We have the opportunity to be armed. We have the opportunity to lock our doors. We can take steps to ensure that we remain safe, right? That doesn't exist in other places. There are places that are worse in America. It just happens. But I'm going to give you guys some kind of like steps to the awareness thing and how they can help us. And because again, we suck the most here. So first is, where are you? If I am on a tram in downtowns in the bad part of Seattle, Washington, that should clue me in that I need to be hyper vigilant about what's going on around me, because I am not in a safe place at all. And I know that, right? Some of our things of where we put ourselves there, either through necessity or stupidity. We end up there. But where are you is your first big indicator. And the second one is what's going on. So if I was in downtown Seattle and people were throwing Molotov cocktails at law enforcement officers, those two things, I should leave, right? Awareness, paying attention to what's going on around me. Well, now if we've keyed in on an individual, I can look for things like threat indicators, right? Am I seeing the artery bulge out here? Am I seeing kind of the squinted eyes? Am I seeing like those precursors to, like, the clenched fist, the white knuckles, those kinds of things? Those can tip me off to that's not gonna go well. The next one is going to be their aggressive body language. If they're standing in a fighting stance, probably gonna fight, right? Those things are super useful to law enforcement, and law enforcement gets a lot of practice on those specific things. And the reason they get so much practice as it is because we read people all the time. We are out in places in the dark. We get paid to go places other people don't want to go, because that's where bad things usually happen. And we are dealing with people who are already aggressive, or they're very drunk, or they're high, or they're just keyed up. It's a bad emotional event, whatever. We're going to deal with that, but we have to pay attention to the where am I, right? If I know I'm not in a place that's very safe for me to be, I should probably move things along. If I'm there because there was supposedly dude had a gun and now the gun's gone, well, all right, that's a problem. If this dude is like fishing in his pockets and pants, I should probably pay attention to that, because that's how you get shot. If he's squared off to me, I mean, I specifically, like, I remember the guy was very drunk and he bladed off to me, and I saw him doing that in my peripheral in the dark, and I was like, dude, I'm going to hurt you. You should sit down. And he did. But it's because I saw it before anything had a chance to take place. But what are some other things we should be worried about? So outside of that, then the other one we have is, what are their hands doing, right? We talk about this in law enforcement a lot. Hands hurt people, right? Very rarely are you going to be close enough for a dude to headbutt you, and you can usually see kicks coming, unless it's a TIE fighter a long damn way away. However, like I said, if we supposedly have a gun and this dude's hands are down here in his pants, I don't know that this isn't what he's already got hold of, right? Maybe he's got his hands in his hoodie. That's one of the reasons law enforcement's like, take your hands out of your pockets, take your hands out of your pockets, because we're like, we can't go into your pockets. However, like, we also don't want you to like whip this thing out and shoot a random person. So those are things location wise and people wise that we should be aware of that will help us. But there's a couple of other good ones that we should remember as just prepared minded people. And they are, what was my last available point of cover? What was the last thing I passed, or that is around me, the closest point that would stop a bullet if something went terribly wrong, right? I'm not talking about living in condition orange all the time. I'm just talking about paying attention to your surroundings, right? Um, if I know for a fact that I am walking in a Walmart and there is nothing that I have passed in the last 8 aisles that would stop a bullet if something went wrong, if something went wrong, but I see a giant pallet of dog food, that's probably my best option, right? Like hide behind the kibbles and bits and hope for the best until I can get a shot on whoever it is doing stupid. Um, the other thing we have to look at as a prepared minded person is what were our ingress and egress routes and locations. If you're standing in the middle of Walmart, have you paid enough attention and been aware enough to know where your closest point of getting out of that freaking store or getting away from that situation exists at? Because if you didn't, your awareness sucks. And this is what I say, we do this. Some of this stuff is second nature to guys, like sitting with your back to a wall facing the door when you go to a restaurant. That is because we can see what comes in the door, right? However, if you're in the back side and you can't see the door, what's your closest exit to get out of the building, right? If something went terribly wrong at that moment, even a fire, where do you direct people to get them out of the fire, right? Knowing and paying attention to those things, because again, our awareness sucks. It's just your awareness sucking is like half the fact that we don't have to use it as much, and the other half the fact that we live in a place that's generally safe. The next up is going to be preparedness. And this is absolutely the part that we all love. Preparedness is training. Preparedness is going to the range and running drills and learning how to draw. It's dry firing. It's going to competitions to put ourselves under stress. It's going to the gym and lifting weights or running a 5K or doing a stair climber for an hour, riding a bike, getting used to wearing your kit, shaking your stuff out. That is all a part of the mindset triad, but that's your preparedness, right? That instills confidence in your ability because you know that you have the ability to handle X, Y, and Z, right? You can do this. So that part is really easy for us as prepared people and gun people to really hang on to because, well, that's the fun stuff, man. Like we all love going out to the range and quick draw, boom, 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 right? Like it's clear, by the way, in case you're wondering. We all love that part of this, right? Doing low light training with night vision, getting out there playing with like laser aiming modules, shooting stuff at long distance. We love the preparedness part of the mindset triad. But we really suck at the awareness part because we don't use it that much. But we use all of the prepared stuff a lot. But everybody's got a weak point in preparedness. Maybe you hate running drills, so your fundamentals suck. Maybe you don't have access to shoot at longer distances, so you don't have as good of a trigger control or rifle manipulation that somebody else does. Maybe you suck at competitions, and that's the problem, right? Maybe you can't reload to save your life. Maybe the last time you run was when the hot and fresh sign popped on at Krispy Kreme. Maybe that's what. I can make that joke. I'm a cop. Calm down. I'd run. I like that. That sign is always a good sign to me. Anyway, so those things, we all have a fault somewhere in our preparedness game. And it's our job to identify that, be honest about it, and then work at it and try to make that a better situation for you going forward so that it's not the weakest part of your link. Because we already have an uphill climb to deal with the mindset part of this, right? We're aware. Or the awareness part. We already know that. We're not even aware that our awareness sucks, right? Ha. And then the final part of this, and this is arguably the most important part of it, is willingness. I can take a dude that is hyper vigilant, pays attention to everything, it's second nature to him. That dude is a rock star on the range and he can shoot. But that dude is not willing to hurt somebody else if the situation called for it. You will never know if your willingness level of the mindset triad is good or not until you're placed in that situation. That's just a fact, right? That's just how it works. Nobody knows how they'll respond to a gunfight until you get into a gunfight. I mean, big, strong dudes that talked a lot of shit got curled up in a ball and were very scared and cried. And dudes that were super meek all of a sudden had a set of stones this big and they just ran through it, right? It happens. You don't know until you get there. So what are some parts of that willingness thing? Are you willing to hurt somebody else if you need to? Not indiscriminately, YouTube, but if somebody needed to be hurt because the situation dictated, are you willing to do that? That gets a lot of people in trouble in fights. because they don't like, they're afraid of actually hurting another thing. So they pull punches or they don't do this. In a real fight with real consequences, nobody cares. Win. Okay. I tell people all the time, as a cop, no fight in the world that I get into is designed for me to fight you fair. In fact, the entire, like, this is part of that truth thing for cops, but like the entire use of force pyramid is designed around me being ahead of you. um, the next one, if you're carrying a firearm every day, and I talked about this in the first mindset video, is are you willing to take a life? Wounding people's a bad idea, because that may not take them out of the fight. They may hurt more people because you just wounded a feral animal and backed them into a corner. Are you willing to do? Have you come to terms with that? Have you decided that, yep, if this ever happens, I'm going to engage. I'm going to do what needs to be done. Chill out. There's nothing behind me but the thing. I'm going to do what needs to be done, right? And I'm going to engage and I'm going to eliminate that threat and I'm going to save other people because I'm a good guy. Have you decided that? You have to be honest with yourself, right? Nobody can, like, here's the thing. We can train awareness. We can learn about awareness. We can train preparedness. But whether or not you're willing to do that is a personal decision you have to make. It just is what it is. What it is. Here's another one that people don't think about. I hear a lot of guys talk about, yeah, I could absolutely do that. If it was going to save other people, 100%, game over, right? Are you willing to lose your life for whatever that situation is, right? If we're doing the taking game, 50-50 shot that yours gets taken too. So are you willing to do that, right? Are you willing to make that sacrifice? A lot of people like, my family or my whatever. Absolutely. Okay, what about total strangers? Running into an active shooter situation, for example, are you willing to take the room tip challenge for people you don't know? Right? So, got to ask yourself, man, got to know. Are you willing to and accepting of the fact that you could temporarily lose your freedom? As I mentioned in another video, the odds of you being arrested initially pretty high. The odds of you, it happens all the time in America, people get arrested for self-defense and they get held in jail for months before they're released. Are you willing to give up that part of your life to respond? That's a decision you have to make. I can't make that for you. I know where I stand. I can't tell you where you stand. Are you willing to be sued into oblivion in civil? Because here's the thing, wrongful death, criminal homicide kind of stuff, those are very different territories, right? You can be completely 100% justified in your use of force legally in what you did. But that guy's family can sue the ever-loving crap out of you civilly because you did eliminate a member of their, a branch off their family tree. Are you willing to accept that and acknowledge it and move on? Again, I can't answer this. You do. Are you willing to give up your life, your freedom, your money for complete and total strangers? If the answer to that is no, don't run back in the building. You're in the way. Okay? We've discussed whether or not you're willing to. What if are you willing to be maimed and crippled, right? Because a lot of people aren't afraid of dying, but like the thought of like losing a leg terrifies the crap out of them, right? Or losing a lung or a lobe of their lung or having part of their intestines removed and having to have a bunch of surgery. Are you willing to be severely hurt and injured? Maybe you don't take the room tip challenge, but maybe you are super jacked up and you're out of commission for like 9 months, right? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to put your family through that? If you're a vegetable, I can't answer this. You got to. I'm just here to make you think. Are you willing, and this is one that my military guys and a lot of my law enforcement guys will completely understand. Are you willing to see things that you will absolutely never unsee? Smells, sounds can trigger these. Are you willing to see things that you can never unsee? Are you willing to smell things that for the rest of your life, things will jack you up? I had a buddy that anytime somebody grilled meat, it ruined him because he watched a bunch of people burn alive. Are you willing to put yourself through that trauma? Even if the physical trauma isn't there, I'll tell you right now, mental scars cut a hell of a lot deeper than physical scars ever will. Because nobody can see those and people can't help you. And it's very hard to explain to someone why that part of you is jacked up when you're not even really sure how or why. So, are you willing to put yourself in that position? Are you willing to put your family through that? Not a me question. I know how I answer. You got to answer it. And the last one, and the most important to me, can you live with yourself if you do nothing? Uncle Freedom's introspective challenge channel. Those are real things, right? The first two sounded super cool, right? Awareness, we can learn, we can teach. Preparedness, we all love to train. And then we get to this willingness part. And that's where the wheels come off of a lot of people's trains. Because maybe they were willing to hurt and do this and do what needed to be done. Maybe they're 100% okay with that. But they're not okay with getting sued randomly at the end of it, because it's probably going to happen. Maybe they are okay with that. You know, I don't have anything for you to sue me for. Whatever, man. You do you, bro. But the thought of being paralyzed from an errant round scares them so much that they like, oh, nope, I can't do that. The odds are not great that that would happen to me, but I'd rather die. But you don't get a say in that, right? We don't get to like, hey, dude, just hit me here. Like, we don't get to do that. And the final one, once we get past that physical, that derails a lot of people is, are you willing to put yourself and your loved ones, because make no mistake about it, your loved ones will be the ones to pick up the shattered pieces of your nightmare in the middle of the freaking night, because you're not okay. It doesn't matter how many times you tell people you're okay. You're not. And that's okay. That part is okay. Are you willing to put your family through it? And then the last one is, if you don't act, can you live with that? I know I can't. I understand and embrace the fact that I was put on this world to be the buffer between the bad that people don't see and exist and the good people that are just trying to be good people. And that's where I find my value in life. Not everybody finds it there. So guys, hopefully you found this informative. Please share. I feel like these videos like this are more important for us to share than any amount of cool gear that I show you guys, because this is the real stuff that actually matters when we talk about what we do. So please share. Tell your friends. Send people to the video. If you think it'll help somebody, pass it along. If you have questions or comments, reach out. As always, Patreon will be live. If it isn't already live, if it is, there's a link down there. And, follow those links if you're going to do any shopping, because every little bit you do helps the channel. And for that, I appreciate it. And it helps me bring you better content with better quality every time I do this. So, guys, I am Uncle Freedom. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Until next time, I'll see you later.